some people hide their view of themselves. I don't, because sometimes my face tells me something I'm feeling before I know I'm feeling it. And I look at my expression and go, "Oh." I know that's a little scary, but sometimes my body knows before I know. I'm not, and it does. It feels different. We're a collective in some very different way.
I feel like when I'm in the world, if I talk about my nervousness, it'll be treated as something to be fixed. Like take this pill or here's some advice to get over it. And it's such a flip because in relatefulness, it's like, oh, what is the wisdom of the nervousness? And you could be a brave, like conscious person. It's like, and still have nervousness. It's not a sign that you have some kind of weakness. It's actually like, I love my nervousness because I'm like, yeah, it's telling me something.
Yeah, and I imagine in other practices, it would be like, "Oh, you're a leader, you should hide your nervousness."
Mm.
And here we're like, "Hey, our nervousness is here, it's trustable, uh, and I'm gonna speak to it." Yeah.
That's something
Mhm.
I love what you're saying, Val, 'cause, um, we are in just as much as facilitators, we're in just as much as all the participants, and that really matters to me. We're not here to facilitate so other people have certain experiences and leave ourselves out of it.
Mm. We're trusting what comes up. Um, it's facilitation in a very not at all heavy-handed way. We're in, and we're trusting what we don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very I remember, like, being the facilitator in training the years ago when I was training to come to on board as the facilitator here. Like, that was one of my biggest challenges. I was actually, I was trying to hide my fear and my nervousness, and every single time it would show up in different ways in other people in the session. So it was, like, constantly I was being shown, like, you can try to suppress something, you can try to deny it and try to, uh, hide it, but it's here, and in some way or another, it's gonna show up in the room. So, yeah, and I love that. It's such a, yeah, kind of a mysterious, magical thing of this practice that for me, that keeps surfacing or showing up is that how we are connected. So when something is happening in you, I will feel some resonance of that in me, no matter what.
I also love that we're a practice that welcomes judgment. And so we're not like pushing away feedback to the practice or whatever's happening.
Mhm.
And like I feel like might evolve to some kind of yes man groupthink or, I'm trying to avoid saying the cult word, but it's like there's a way that we can't become that because there's people are gonna speak it up and often do. And I also notice like for a lot of people they're like have these judgments and can't feel like, oh, I can't say my judgments. They kind of like push them away, like, and somehow speaking them melts into something loving. And people receiving judgments learn from them or take them or they work it out and find where the judgments are coming from. It's like goes in all different kinds of directions, but just all these parts of us are spoken and worked through. And I rarely find it, I don't almost never that somebody's like, regrets speaking honestly about what's happening for them.
It is so empowering and, like, can change your whole world and how you relate with other people, and, you know, in my case, it's, like, from going from, like, pushing people away with my unspoken judgments in the world, and, like, as I got older, like, why do I have less people around me, less connections? And through this practice, it's like, oh, if I change the way I'm being, it draws more people in, the vibration of, people I wanna be around and be with, and, like, it's really a profound practice. And in that moment where you're feeling bad, you said something that you didn't land well with a group or something like that. It's hard to remember if you're new, like, this is part of the practice, and it can be so powerful,
Mm.
but it might not always feel, like, cuddly and warm and
One thing I was thinking about, uh, as you were talking, Yvonne, is that over time, something that you can't exactly teach, that we learn is to attune to each other. And it doesn't mean that we're not honest. We learn to say what's true in a way that isn't watered down, and yet we're saying it in a way that remembers there's a person receiving it and that it matters to us.
Mhm.
And so we learn to be truthful in a way that can be received and understood by the other person. And rather than our practice being an insular practice, it is a this practice where we're learning these things here and we take them out into our lives. And we don't even know we're taking them out in our lives. It's like we're learning these skills, and we're not doing them. We are them. We're just better at relating with people.
Not doing them, we are them.
Mhm.
And not dealing in it that is so delicious, in being a facilitator. Even though we're doing something, we're almost, and at the same time, we're not doing. And a lot of the great works of art, the sports, they're in that moment. Like, sometimes they even call it flow, like the name of our sessions, like being in that flow state is like, you're not trying, you're not forcing, you're not, but but there's awareness and there's skills, and we're doing something, but we're coming from this place of presence, not doing. And just that alone, learning how to get to that place is so powerful for a human's life. Plus everything else mentioned, not, but there's something we're also doing with the attunement, and there's a lot we're doing, but then it's like coming from a not doing, from having the skills developed over time, like you said, becomes your contemplating that before I stepped into this call, like, who were who were I before um knowing the practice or stepping into, and how difficult that it is to for me to reconnect to, because that, like, it's seemingly gradually changing me as um and how it impacts my relating in every areas, and what I like being in a session, what is that, like, we say practice that, like, for me that's like like bravery in being honest and being vulnerable and being real, like working that muscle here with this container of others working the same muscle, and that feeling, like, that creates a container that I don't
find in the same way outside, so that I can like felt that this helping me to grow a certain kind of honesty or vulnerability muscle that I can bring outside of this container. I was just feeling so much joy listening to you, Victoria. I think that's and I feel so full and have so much appreciation here. Um, and I think the thing that I'm valuing most now in the practice is what I'm doing right now, which is just giving myself a moment. Like like, oh hello, like Jane, you're here. I have a voice. My voice is valued. What I have, even if it comes in this slightly like unpolished way. And my voice can also be like in presence. Like there's something around like balancing the words and actually being, I'm here. And I'm like, oh, Victoria's here. And actually experiencing that moment of feeling another human being and yeah. Yeah, I think this practice is bringing me alive. Like, I'm alive. I'm actually alive, fully here. And I don't think I've always had that. Well, I know I've not always had that in connection with people. Like, I can lose that. Yeah. Hmm.
Feel so much joy hearing you, Jane,
Mm.
and love for you.
Mm.
How many years have we led together?
Probably like 7, 8 years. Every Thursday evening. There's door for me. Uh, yeah. And you too, Renee, like Wednesday mornings are very precious. And we've been through quite a journey. It's not always been smooth, like you say, Yvonne. But I feel so much appreciation for you and love for you now and richness in our connection and trust. Because we've been like we've fallen out. Like we know we can do that and come back from that. Yeah. And grow from that, not just come back from it, but learn. Yeah.
Thinking about how we're all so different as humans and as facilitators, and how we have, all these sessions on the platform every day, and people can pick, like, oh, like I'm going to get a certain flavor. If I get a Jeffrey session, if I get a Victoria session, it's like there's a lot of like choice, and every group is so different anyways. Um the themes and the flavors of what the experiences that happen always changing, and that's part of what keeps things juicy too.
Mm.
And we're from all over the world,
Mm.
and you're my friends.
There's so many different groups of people because there's so many like spiritual new age people that speak this language, projections, and then there's like um, math, science-oriented people who've been in a lab and alone most of their lives, who don't speak an emotional labeling language or, even talk about their feelings, but there's something in this practice that, like, you don't have to know any of that. You don't have to think that way. You don't have to be any spiritual orientation or anything. It's just a willingness to show up and let yourself, in a sense, let yourself change. And as a human being, like, we're here to constantly change, in my opinion. And a lot of us stop letting ourselves change. And to me, that's the true aging or something. Like when we let ourselves change, like we stay so alive and young, and like but yeah, it's just a willingness to show up and go, I can be here. And a lot of times people come that might have that sense of loneliness that I'm talking about, and they come and they'll say, I don't feel connected. I'm not in. And it's like, okay, great, let's start there. I bet that's how you feel in life. And I'm not gonna say that, but it's like that's here. That's part of this. Not connecting is part of being in connection. Being aware of your, like, scale of connection is a huge step in more connection, which I am orientating that more connection is better. And I know this practice, we don't really have, like, here's the way to be a human. We're just practicing being and not directing and not having a goal in a sense. But at the same time, so many people are lonely. And so there is sort of like, what happens if we come together? And if we look at it on a bigger scale, politically, socially, it's like, how can we come back together, even if we think differently or aren't connected, and the whole thing.
Mm. Does anyone want to add anything before we close? Anything you'd like watchers of our videos to know about us?
Something about, um, like a realization that I can I and all of us can go at our own pace. Like there's no one way of doing it. And I remember Annabeth's thing around, what can you do? Like do the thing you can do. And sometimes the thing I can do in a session is, yeah, like I said, just be with myself. Like, how am I doing right now? Like that might be the thing I have. I might not have anything great to say, but I can go, oh, I'm here. I'm here. This is what I'm experiencing. Oh, that's, yeah. And then the next circle, I might have a whole monologue, but but there's a sense of appreciation of each of our different journeys and different paces, which, yeah, I certainly was wanted to isolate myself from people. I was scared of people, and I've learned through this practice that, oh, yeah, I'm okay here. Yeah, like I said, I have a voice, and yeah, yeah. So there's something about the pace, the individual journey.
Yeah, I love that. I love hearing you speak about it as well, how it animates in you. And it's something like, um, you don't have to be skillful in any way. You just come as you are to a session and be warned because you will get more skillful if you come to sessions. Um, but yeah, come as you are, and we can meet that and be with you in that exactly as you are.
Yeah.